Welcome back to another deep dive. Today we're tackling something that I think almost everyone who's ever laced up a pair of running shoes has dealt with, or, at least secretly feared.
Oh, absolutely. It's that nagging, burning sensation that starts as a whisper, and pretty soon it's just screaming at you.
We're talking about the silent epidemic of the lower leg, which sounds dramatic.
It is a dramatic name, isn't it?
Yeah.
But honestly, when you look at the numbers, it's earned. I mean, we're looking at stats where this accounts for about 15% of all running injuries.
That is a huge slice of the pie, and it's the one thing people, myself included, tend to just dismiss. You hear it all the time, oh, it's just growing pains, or I'm conditioning my shins.
The classic, I'll just run through it.
Right, but we're diving into a stack of research from Sun-Dried today that basically screams, SOS! This isn't just a little ache. Apparently, we're talking about the precursor to a catastrophic bone failure.
We are. And that's why the material from Sun-Dried is so valuable. It frames this not as a fitness tip, like, how to run faster, but as a survival guide for your skeleton.
So we're moving beyond the superficial advice and into the deep physiology of what's actually happening inside your leg.
Exactly, when you pound the pavement.
So let's name the villain, shin splints. But I noticed right away in the reading that even that term, it gets a bit of side-eye from the medical community. The sources call it a garbage bag term.
It's a perfect description, really.
Yeah.
Shin splints is this colloquial umbrella we use for basically any pain in the lower leg that we don't immediately understand.
It's a catch-all. It's vague.
And if you're in pain, precision matters. So the goal of this deep dive is to stop using that garbage bag term and start decoding the difference between a muscle that's grumbling at you.
And a structural bone failure. Because one, you can manage with some ice and stretching, and the other puts you in a cast for 6 weeks.
Right. Our mission is to figure out how to fix this using physics, not just grit.
Okay, so before we get to the fix, we have to understand the machine. We're not just talking about a stick of bone here, are we?
No, and that's the first mistake people make. To understand the injury, we need to look at the cruel compartment.
Cruel compartment. Okay, that sounds like something from a submarine movie. What are we actually looking at?
Think of your lower leg like a tightly packed sausage casing. You've got the tibia, that's your main load bearer, the big shin bone, and then the fibula, which is more of a stabilizer.
And they're all wrapped up together.
Exactly, wrapped with muscles, veins, and nerves inside this tough, inelastic fascia. It's a dynamic, highly pressurized system.
So it's crowded in there.
Extremely. And because that casing, the fascia, doesn't stretch well, when things start to swell, they have nowhere to go. They just push inward against the bone.
I always thought shin splints were just muscles pulling on the bone. I remember a coach telling me it was the muscle tearing away from the bone, kind of like peeling a sticker off. Is that still the thinking?
That was the prevailing theory for decades. It was called the traction theory. The idea was that muscles were literally pulling the skin, the periosteum.
Right off the bone.
Yeah. And while there's a kernel of truth to that, the Sun-Dried research points us to a much more modern and frankly more alarming understanding, the tibial bending theory.
This was the aha moment for me in the reading. Tibial bending. It sounds painful just saying it. The bones don't bend, do they?
They absolutely do. Think of the tibia not as a steel beam, but like a credit card. Every time your foot hits the ground, you're generating ground reaction forces that are 2.5 to 3 times your body weight.
So if I weigh 150 pounds, that's like what, 450 pounds of force slamming into that leg?
Every single step. Boom, boom. And that force causes the bone to bow slightly, just like if you were flexing that credit card.
And physics dictates that when you bend a rod like that, one side gets compressed.
Right, squashed together, and the other side gets stretched or put under tension.
And that's what causes the injury.
Indirectly, yes. But here's where it gets really interesting. It's not just the bending, it's how the bone reacts to it. We have to talk about Wolff's Law.
Wolff's Law. Okay, I feel like we're back in biology class.
It's the fundamental rule of skeletal biology. Simply put, Wolff's Law states that bone adapts to the load you place on it. It's a living tissue. There is a constant renovation project going on inside your bones.
Renovation is a nice way to put it.
It's a perfect analogy. Imagine a road crew. You have 2 teams. One team is the demolition crew. These are cells called osteoclasts. Their job is to dig up old, damaged pavement.
Okay.
Then you have the paving crew, the osteoblasts. They come in behind and lay down fresh, strong asphalt. In a healthy runner, this works great.
You run, you create micro damage, the demo crew clears it, the caving crew reinforces it, and your bone gets stronger. That's training.
Precisely.
But I'm guessing shin splints happens when the union workers get their schedules mixed up.
It's a supply chain issue. It happens when you violate the 10% rule, increasing your mileage or intensity too fast. The problem is, the demolition crew, the osteoclasts, they're fast. They're very efficient.
And the paving crew?
They are slow. They take weeks to lay down new bone.
Wait, so there's a lag time?
A significant one. And this creates what we call the porosity window. Because the demo crew is working so much faster than the paving crew, your bone actually becomes more porous and weaker for a few weeks after you start a new training block.
That seems incredibly counterintuitive. You start training to get stronger, but initially your bones get softer.
Precisely. You are temporarily running on Swiss cheese. And if you keep pounding on that credit card while it's full of microscopic holes, that's when the structure fails.
That is a terrifying image. So how do we know if we're in that window? How do I know if I'm just sore or if I'm about to snap my tibia in half?
The sun-dried material breaks this down into 3 tiers of pain. This is your triage protocol. We start with Tier 1, DOMS delayed onset muscle soreness.
We all know DOMS. That's the good pain, usually.
Usually, yes. It's muscular. It peaks 24 to 48 hours after a workout. The key thing here is if you poke the bone itself, it shouldn't hurt. It's the meat around the bone that's sore.
Okay, so that's the green zone. What's the yellow zone?
Tier 2 is MTSS, Medial Tibial Stress Syndrome. This is what most people mean when they say shin splints. And there's a very sneaky signature here called the warm-up phenomenon.
Oh, I have definitely felt this. You start your run and your shins are screaming at you. You kind of hobble for the first half mile, but then it fades away and you feel fine.
And that is the trap. It feels fine because the tissues have warmed up and become more pliable. They aren't pulling as hard, but the bone is still stressed. The moment you stop and cool down, the pain returns with a vengeance.
So if it hurts, goes away, and comes back, that's not getting better. That's a warning.
It's a massive warning. And if you do the palpation test, you run your fingers down the inside of your shin. You'll notice the pain is diffuse. It's spread over a large area, usually more than 5 centimeters.
A general ache along the border.
Right.
Okay, so broad pain, warms up, hurts later. That's MTSS. Now take us to the red zone, Tier 3.
Tier 3 is the stress fracture. This is structural failure. The pain behavior is completely different. It does not warm up. It gets worse with every single step. And there is a major red flag. Night pain.
Night pain, like it wakes you up.
Or it just throbs while you're lying there doing nothing. If your leg hurts when you aren't even standing on it, that is your body shouting that the bone is compromised.
And I assume the poke test feels different here too.
Drastically different. We call it the pinpoint sign. Unlike that broad ache of MTSS, with a stress fracture, you can usually find one specific spot, smaller than a fingertip, that makes you jump.
So if you can cover the entire painful area with one finger.
Stop running immediately.
If I ignore that and I go get an x-ray, what are they looking for? Sun-dried research mentions something called the dreaded black line.
It's ominous, yeah. It refers to a specific type of fracture on the anterior cortex, the front of the shin. Remember how the bone bends? That front side is under tension. It's being pulled apart.
So it's harder to heal.
Very hard. Every step pulls the crack open. On an x-ray, it shows up as a horizontal black line. If you see that, you are looking at a very long recovery, maybe even surgery.
Okay, that scared me straight. So if I'm at home listening and my shin feels dodgy, besides poking it, are there other tests I can do right now?
A few field tests. The most functional one is the one-legged hop test. Stand on your injured leg, barefoot is best, and just try to hop 10 times.
10 times? That sounds easy.
It should be. But if you have a stress fracture, your brain will often just say, absolutely not. You'll either get sharp, arresting pain, or your leg will just buckle. If you can't hop, that's a hard stop.
And there was another one, the tuning fork test.
Yeah, this is an old school physio trick, but it's surprisingly accurate. You take a 128 hertz tuning fork, you get it vibrating, and you place the stem right on the bone.
And why does that work? The vibration.
The vibration. If there's a crack, it agitates the periosteum right at the fracture site. It causes a sharp, stinging pain, almost like an electric shock. If you don't have one, you can try the heel percussion test.
Which is just hitting the bottom of your heel.
Exactly. Have someone tap it with the palm of their hand. If that shock wave causes pain up in your shin, it suggests the bone is compromised.
Okay, those great practical tips. Now, not all shin pain is on the inside of the leg. Sometimes I feel it on the outside in the fleshy part. Is that the same thing?
No, and it's crucial to know the difference. We've been talking about medial tibial stress syndrome on the inner bone, but you can also get anterior shin splints.
Anterior meaning the front.
Yes, specifically the tibialis anterior muscle on the front outside of the shin. The sensation here is often a bursting pressure, like your leg is pumped full of air.
And the cause is different too, right? This feels more like a running style issue.
It is heavily linked to heel strikers. When you slam your heel down, your toes are pointing up. That muscle, the tibialis anterior, has to work incredibly hard to slowly lower the foot.
So it doesn't just slap the pavement. I hear people running like that all the time. Slap, slap, slap.
That sound is the sound of an overworked tibialis anterior. It gets overworked, it swells, and because of that sausage casing fascia, the pressure builds up and causes pain.
So medial is bone stress, anterior is muscle pump. Good distinction. Let's move to root causes. We know what it is, but why is it happening? Sun-Dried points to cadence, the 180 debate.
Cadence is just how many steps you take per minute. And it matters because of where your foot lands.
Yeah.
If you have a low cadence, say 160 steps per minute, you're taking fewer, longer steps.
Overstriding.
Right. Your foot lands in front of your center of mass. Mechanically, that's a break. You're fighting your own momentum, and that creates a massive impact spike, a hammer blow, that shoots right up the tibia.
So the fix isn't speed, it's tempo, faster feet.
Exactly. Sun-Dried suggests increasing your cadence by just 5 to 10%. So if you're at 160, try to get to 170, 175. When you take shorter, quicker steps, your foot lands underneath your hips
Which eliminates the braking force.
and reduces the load on the tibia significantly.
Amazing how a small tweak changes the physics. Okay, what about where we run? Surface tension. I've always been told concrete is bad, asphalt is better.
It's simple physics. Concrete is roughly 10 times harder than asphalt.
10 times. They both feel pretty hard when I fall on them.
They do. But asphalt has a viscoelastic property. It gives a little. Concrete returns almost all of that energy right back into your skeleton. But there's another hidden enemy on the road, the camber.
The curve for drainage.
Exactly. Roads are domed. If you always run on the left side facing traffic, your left leg is on lower ground than your right. You're effectively running with one leg longer than the other.
And that forces one foot to pronate more.
It creates a discrepancy that can lead to shin splints on just one side.
So switch sides of the road or find a flat path. Okay, let's talk shoes. Shoe forensics, as the source calls it.
This is where most people fail. We hold on to shoes way too long. Sun-Dried cites the 300-500-mile rule. But here's the thing. Shoes die from the inside out.
Meaning the rubber on the bottom looks fine, but the cushion is gone.
Totally gone. Modern running shoes use foams like EVA. Over time, those foams get compression set. They smash flat and don't bounce back. You're running on flat tires.
So how do we check?
The press test. Take your thumb and press firmly into the midsole foam. If it feels like a brick, or if you see deep permanent wrinkles in the foam, it's dead.
And what about the type of shoe? Neutral, stability? It's overwhelming.
It is, but your shins tell you what you need. Look at the wear pattern on your old shoes. If the wear is all on the inside edge, you are an overpronator. Your foot rolls inward too much.
Which twists the tibia.
Correct. For that, you need a stability shoe. The sources mention models like the Brooks Adrenaline or Asics Gel Kayano. These have guide rails.
Like in bowling.
That's a great analogy. They use denser foam on the edges. If your foot tries to roll in, it hits that harder foam and gets nudged back to the center.
And if I wear out the outside of my shoe?
That's supination. High arches, rigid feet. You don't absorb shock well. You are a high risk for stress fractures. You need pillows, maximum cushion. Think Hoka Bondi or Saucony Triumph.
Got it. Okay, let's say we messed up. We're in pain. What is the SOS protocol for rehab?
Step 1. The acute phase. Calm the inflammation, but please put the bag of frozen peas back in the freezer.
Hey, peas conform to the shin.
They do, but they aren't aggressive enough. Sun-Dried recommends an ice massage. Freeze water in a paper Dixie cup. Once it's frozen, peel back the top inch of paper.
And just rub the ice directly on the skin.
Directly, for 10 to 15 minutes. The magic here isn't just the cold, it's the friction. You are helping to mobilize the fascia, unsticking those tissues while flushing out inflammation.
That sounds intense. Okay, stretching. The sources emphasize the Soleus Imperative. What is that?
This is the #1 thing runners get wrong. When you stretch your calf, you probably keep your legs straight, right? Pushing against a wall.
Yeah, that's the standard stretch.
That stretches the gastrocnemius, the big calf muscle. But the muscle that usually causes shin splints is the soleus. It sits deeper. And here's the kicker. The soleus does not cross the knee joint.
So if my leg is straight,
You are completely bypassing it. To stretch the soleus, you must bend your knee. Drop into a squatting stretch or lean against the wall with a bent knee. If you're not doing that, you're not rehabbing shin splints.
that is a huge distinction. Bent knee for shins and for strengthening.
You need to build armor. 2 key moves. First, eccentric calf raises. Stand on a step, lift up with 2 feet, but lower down slowly, like 3 to 5 seconds on just the injured leg.
Okay. And for the front, for those of us with the foot slap.
Tibialis anterior raises. Lean your butt against a wall, walk your feet out a bit, and just lift your toes up towards your shins rapidly. It burns, but it builds that muscle.
All right, we've rehabbed. We're feeling better. Now comes the hardest part for any runner, the return to sport.
The danger zone.
Why is it the danger zone if the pain is gone?
Because the absence of pain does not mean the presence of bone density. Remember the porosity window? Just because the inflammation settled doesn't mean the paving crew has finished filling in the holes. Your structure is still Swiss cheese.
So we can't just go out and run a 5K to test it.
That is the quickest way to snap the bone. Sun-Dried outlines a specific walk-run progression. You have to swallow your pride. You start with something like walking for 4 minutes and running for 1 minute.
That sounds excruciatingly boring.
It is, but you do that for 20 minutes. And then you wait. You're introducing a small load to see how the bone reacts.
And how do we know if we push too hard?
The 24-hour pain rule. This is your Goldilocks metric. If you feel soreness in the shin 24 hours later, you exceeded the tissue's capacity.
So if I run Tuesday and Wednesday night, it throbs.
You failed the test. You went too far. You have to rest until you're pain-free, then regress. Cut the volume by 50%.
It really requires a shift in mindset from no pain, no gain.
With bone stress, no pain, no gain is a fast track to a fracture boot. You have to shift to respect the biology. Shin splints are rarely an accident. They're a mathematical inevitability when load exceeds capacity.
Well, on that note, we've reached the end of the deep dive. We've gone from the garbage bag diagnosis to the physics of bending credit cards.
It really does change how you visualize running, doesn't it?
It does. And I want to leave everyone with that image. The next time you lace up, picture your tibia. Visualize that credit card flexing and bowing with every step, and ask yourself, did I give the paving crew enough time to fix the potholes? Or am I just hammering away at a broken road?
That's the question that saves your season.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Take care of those legs, and we'll see you in the next deep dive.